What do we have for Cancer? The Hermit. Virgo energy at the foundation of the reading, Cancer. Cancer, leading up to your reading, I was collecting my downloads, and typically things that are happening around me, even the music I hear, all has little messages for you. Now, I started to get this massive wave of nostalgia coming through for your reading, and I could tell that it wasn't my energy. It wasn't for me. And then I started to realize that it was for you. So I thought I would take a look at the transits, check out the astrology, and see if there was anything in there that also confirmed this. And sure enough, there was. There are a whole lot of transits that are actually causing this right now. And without getting into too much detail, what they're really doing is getting you to reflect on quite possibly when you're in school, middle school, high school, first loves, early friendships, stuff like this. And there's also an energy here of quite possibly revisiting some of your first dreams that was sort of formed around your teenage years. Now, of course, this leads us to the Hermit, because the Hermit is all about deep introspection. It's an energy of seeking understanding. And this perfectly aligns with the messages that I'm getting for all of you. I feel that you're really beginning to look at some of the finer details of your life and what has led to you being where you are in the here and now. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, it doesn't really matter. It's just a recognition, I feel, on how far you have come and how much life has truly changed, which goes without saying, but there's a certain level of innocence that I feel you are beginning to recognize is long gone. And though that could sound, well, it could sound a bit heavy or maybe a bit sad, it's not really, because the message that is connected directly to that is one of really recognizing how much you have awakened to the truth of your reality. For me, personally, when I think back on my time in school, especially high school, I really think about how unawakened I was to life, reality, like we all were. When I think about the Matrix theory, there's a couple of things that come to mind, but the two main ones are the power structure that is in place in the world and high school. It's like these two things have a way of indoctrinating us into a kind of lie. And as we begin to develop into adults, we begin to awaken from the lie. Now, I was also picking up something else in regards to some of you quite possibly approaching some sort of high school reunion. Maybe you've never been to one of these. Maybe you're thinking about going, but then you quickly start to realize that there's really no point to it. Because what are people really doing there? They're doing one of two things. They're going to see old friends that maybe they've lost contact with. And, let's call a spade here. If you've lost contact with people, there's probably a reason behind that, right? Maybe you've outgrown them. Right? Whatever the case may be. And then there's those people who go to those sorts of things because they want to show off, right? They want to show off what they've attained. And amongst all that, you're really starting to find, I feel, something extraordinary in regards to who you've become, Cancer. There's so much depth to what I'm getting here. I got this message coming through very strongly, and it was very clearly stated as the high school reunion from hell. Now, this can be literal or it can speak more metaphorically, so really take that as it fits. But there's also a connection here to quite possibly people from that time in your life trying to come back into your life, and there's a little bit of a suspicion there. But overall, the theme around your reading is nostalgia. Whether it's you, whether it's other people that are thinking about you, being nostalgic in regards to you, and you are picking up on that, it seems to be heavy inside the energy right now. What do we have at the sacral, please? Temperance, Sag energy at the sacral. Yeah, there's this sort of reflective and sentimental nature that I'm getting from the energy that may be consuming you right now, Cancer. And I know that we're also approaching a full moon in Cancer, right around January 13th, and also Mars being retrograde in Cancer. This is what's leading to all of this. So you also being tied to the moon, this is also what's causing a lot of these memories and this focus on the subconscious mind here. Whenever there's transits through Cancer, there's always these old memories that begin to come to the forefront, especially those that really focus on these key times in your life of emotional growth and when you were really forming your identity. Now, the Temperance card at the sacral position here is really speaking about why this is happening, and I feel that it has something to do with cycles that are closing out in your life that is calling you to revisit events, emotions, different periods in your life as a means to move forward and step into this new timeline. Temperance is all connected to your purpose. It's an energy of balance. And there's also this message here about combining the past with the present as a means to step into the future. Now, this can really speak about the need for some sort of inner child healing. This is something that I quite often speak about, how revisiting these times in our life that were quite possibly significant in regards to our development can be the deciding factor whether you move forward in the here and now. Simply put, it's like releasing some sort of baggage from the past as a means to be able to lighten your load and step into the next chapter of your life. This can also be simplified as really making peace with the past. But I'm also getting a message here, Cancer, for those of you that have been contemplating whether you should go back to something. Could be someone, it could be a friend, it could be a family member. So take it as it fits. The reason why those memories are coming through is not because the divine is trying to reconnect you with those energies, but rather bring focus to them as a message to finally let go. A lot of people can get confused about this, especially when it comes to connections we've moved on from. Keep thinking about this person. Does that mean that they're going to be coming back into my life? Does that mean that I should contact them? And though each one of your situations is always going to be different, it's always circumstantial, what I'm getting here, Cancer, is no, it's happening because it's finally being released from your energy. And this also speaks directly on what Temperance brings into your life, and that is healing. What do we have? The solar plexus. Page of Cups, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces energy at the solar plexus. Now, the Page of Cups here is really speaking about your intuition. It's also an energy of synchronicity and some sort of new beginning here is what I'm picking up on. But again, in order to have this new beginning, there needs to be a rebalancing or a healing rather, or some sort of resolution to some sort of past events, emotions, or situations that maybe made you feel like you were just sort of dangling in the wind. An interesting kind of metaphor to represent, I feel, a lack of closure. But this is one of these situations, Cancer, where I don't think I've ever said this before. The closure exists within what you perceive as the lack of closure. It's just a matter of changing your mindset. You have this preconceived idea of what you think closure should look like surrounding this situation. And Source is asking you to just accept the way things are and move forward. Accept the fact that some things are better left exactly the way they are. Cancer, I was also picking up on somebody else inside your energy that is living in a state of fear because they don't know how much you know about what they did. And I feel like this message has come through in readings for you before, Cancer, but whatever the case, here it is again now, and it needed to be said. I'm also hearing that the silence between you and this other, they wanted me to call it entity, which is very interesting, is absolutely deafening. This is one of these situations where quite possibly some sort of opposing force or, again, entity formed weapons against you and they did not prosper, which is something that they did not plan on. I think that they bet everything they had that this was going to take you out, whatever that means for you. But it did quite the opposite. Here you are, now existing as the best version of yourself or heading toward it. And there was something about these weapons that were formed against you that brought you to where you are now, which is connecting us back to all this nostalgia that I spoke about at the beginning of the reading in a very beautiful way. Because it's this event or situation or whatever these weapons represent that were formed against you that woke you up. And it could be that right now, the nostalgia is surfacing because of how much your perspective surrounding your life and reality in general has changed. Like I said, when I think back to these younger years when my identity was being formed, I very clearly recognize that as the matrix, the lie, the illusion. And it's interesting when you think about those years as being formative years because your identity was being formed, right? But that in and of itself was also a lie because your identity that was being formed by that period in your life was all influenced by some sort of pre-programming. It's the system, so to speak, telling you who you are going to become. Again, for me personally, I honestly don't feel that I found my identity, the person that I am now, until about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 7. It took waking up, spiritually speaking, for me to truly find my identity. Because up until that point, I personally was basing my identity purely on who I showed up as, physically speaking, in the third density. I didn't even really understand what my spiritual identity was. But now I base my identity on who I am spiritually, and that influences who I show up as physically. So more of an as above, so below, as opposed to a so below, I guess, as above, right? Let's switch decks. What do we have of the heart, please? 3 of Cups, Cancer energy at the heart. Yeah, I'm picking up a lot of gossip inside your energy as well, Cancer. There's a lot of chatter going on. I'm hearing something about individuals wondering if you're going to show up somewhere. Now, this could be directly connected to the message I got about the high school reunion from hell, right? Or it's something similar, right? It doesn't have to be literal. It's more just an analogy for the message I'm picking up here. I'm also hearing somebody say to another individual that you've changed, right? But it's not being said in a loving way. It's being said in a way that is very negative. It's almost insulting. And it's being said in a way that's rather negative. And I feel it's being said to people that don't know what you've been through, that haven't seen you in a long time. It's like somebody saying to another individual, hey, how's Cancer doing? I haven't seen Cancer in years. And the person's like, oh, you haven't heard about Cancer? Right? And then they just sort of go into this rant that is based in lies and completely fabricated stories as a means to make themselves look better in the face of another. And I feel that this person or these people actually were a part of you being triggered into this awakening in the first place. So let's just say, for example, you're a part of a community and some individuals in the community do something really diabolical to try and harm you, or maybe you were becoming a threat, or maybe you were beginning to develop or grow beyond their expectations of who they think you should be, which I feel is much further below who they are, right? Very narcissistic energy. So then, as a result of this, you begin to go through a kind of awakening in your life, and you decide that you need to break away from, let's say, this community. So you take your own path in life. You're really starting to find your way. You're aligning with the person who you're truly meant to be, and you're finding your real identity, which leaves these other people in fear because they weren't expecting you to find your power amongst all of this. In fact, they were expecting that you would give up on yourself. So now these people are living in fear, but on the other hand, they are also gossiping, spreading untruths about you, essentially trying to do damage control because they don't know what your next move is. And I feel amongst all of this chaos that these individuals have caused, you've been completely silent. You've been so focused on your path and building this new life for yourself that you just really don't even care anymore. I also feel that your connection with Source, the divine, God, has become so strong that you have full faith that things will be resolved the way they're supposed to, when they're supposed to, without you really having to do much about it, because you understand that the divine has your back because you are focused on your path moving forward. What do we have at the throat, please? Ace of Swords, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy at the throat. Cancer, this Ace of Swords at the throat is really representing the victory that you've had over these individuals now. You have defeated them without even having to say a word about it. You merely existing as the best version of yourself has brought these individuals to their knees, spiritually speaking. Their karma is that they have to live in fear every day, not knowing what your next move is going to be. I'm actually seeing somebody in my mind's eye peeking through a little crack in their curtain, right? It's like they're looking outside, all paranoid, wondering if somebody or something is going to come for them. I also feel that for a lot of you, so much time has passed. Some of these individuals are wondering if it's just going to go away. But that's the thing. God's timing is impeccable. He'll get these individuals to think that they're in the clear. And then out of nowhere, something just takes them by surprise. Cancer, I'm hearing something here about you not giving up on yourself. No matter how difficult things began to get surrounding what it is you may have gone through here, but you truly became your own best friend. You learned how to love yourself with this connection that you have nurtured with Source. And that's really when you begin to understand what real love is, which will completely change your life from the foundation up. Because when you start to understand what love really is, you have to reconstruct your entire reality and how you interface with it on this new basis of understanding. What do we have at the third eye, please? Too many cards. What do we have at the third eye? The Fool. Perfect. Card 0 at the third eye. Reinforcing the message that we have coming through here, because this Fool is representing this new beginning. Maybe for some of you, this was a path that other people tried to discourage you from going down. Or maybe people ruled you out. Or maybe you alienated people based on a new understanding that you were beginning to have around reality. Now, this can really speak about that awakening process, right? You begin to go through it and you just really see it as kind of waking up in a kind of matrix of your life. You start to feel as though remaining in these spaces or in these communities would be you doing a great disservice to yourself. I just heard it's you or them, right? This is really what it comes down to. You can either follow where spirit is leading you to, or you can sacrifice your entire path, your mission, your connection with Source, and this new spiritual understanding merely to appease another individual or individuals that don't like this new you. See, this is really what it comes down to. Your level of understanding has become a threat. And you know, Cancer, something else as well. People who are this hyper-focused on what you're doing have absolutely nothing going on in their own life. Because if they did, they simply would not care what you're up to. But I feel for you, these people act like they have a lot going on in their life, but they don't. You're the most interesting thing that's probably ever happened to them. You're the subject of all of their topics and stories. And it's only a matter of time before people who don't know any better begin to recognize where the lie ends and the truth begins. And there's nothing that you need to do to force your truth upon anyone. All you have to do is merely exist, and that is truth enough. Beautiful. And having said all that, Cancer, everything that has taken place here in this reading so far is leading you to this new beginning. Just like I said, it's like these are the necessary steps that you have to take to be able to step into this new timeline. It's like Spirit is trying to help you compartmentalize the past. I'm hearing also assist you in forgiving yourself for your part in certain things. Very important. What do we have at the crown, please? Perfect. High Priestess, Pisces energy at the crown. Now, whenever I get the High Priestess at the crown, it is a message of heavy divine guidance here. And I feel that that goes without saying, considering the messages that we've channeled through thus far. But they wanted to make it very clear to you, Cancer, that you are being very looked after and guided at this period of time in your life. And again, I'm picking up this message surrounding preparation. It's because of where you're getting ready to go. And the High Priestess here can also represent an energy of you being in between worlds. Your intuition is very strong right now, Cancer. The divine really needs you to trust in the messages that you are receiving. I feel that there's some messages coming through surrounding certain individuals that quite possibly had some sort of hidden agenda surrounding your situation. There's also this very superficial energy that I'm picking up here, right? People smiling in your face, but as soon as you turn your back, it's a whole different story. But you need to listen to your inner voice as you're navigating these situations right now. There's reason for all of this. Again, it's for the sake of compartmentalization. And they're showing me this filing cabinet in my mind's eye. They're using it as a metaphor in regards to your mind, right? Compartmentalization, organizing your mind, closing out certain cycles by reaching a level of understanding or forgiveness within your mind. What do we have at the foundation, please? 7 of Cups, Scorpio energy at the foundation. Now, well, first of all, a leopard can't change their spots, right? And that's right at that foundation position underneath the Hermit. So this is you starting to understand this. You can't get people to change. You have to break away, Cancer. I know this one all too well. This is something we always hear about. The hardest part of this process is when you have to break away. But there's also a level of acceptance that you're beginning to have there as well regarding these situations you are breaking away from, because they had a lot to do, if not everything to do, with why you stayed trapped to begin with. Yes, you have to take responsibility once the divine shows you the truth around your situation, but there seems to be, well, I just heard indoctrination again. Okay, so it's like this energy that was just trying to keep you asleep to the truth of who you really are. Whether they know this or not, it's just something that's programmed into them. There were a lot of illusions that were cast around your life. I just heard whole cities and communities were constructed to keep you asleep. Now, I've had similar messages come through like this before, so it doesn't surprise me. And I truly believe this, Cancer, okay? Which really speaks about who you are as a person. You know, as a light worker or a chosen individual, you're sent down here because you have a specific task. You have things that the divine spirit, God, needs you to do in this life cycle. And it's like there's this opposing force that knows you're getting sent down here. So before you even get here, they prepare this whole life and reality that you're going to be birthed into. And you're tasked with having to wake up to all of this, right? Not get indoctrinated and sucked into the trap, but rather find your way and become that virus in the middle of the system. You are the virus in the program, Cancer. Knight of Swords, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy at the sacral. Reinforcing what I said here about these individuals, because the Knight of Swords from this deck is an energy of deliberate actions or cruelty. They just had something programmed inside of them that told them to take these actions towards you, that told them to form these weapons against you. And it's right underneath that Temperance card. So the Temperance card is really representing you in your purpose, right? On your path. And then we have this sneaky little demon coming up behind you, trying to do everything it can to knock you off your path. It says right here, destroys and burns all enemies when requested, speaks of the creation of the world, tells of the past and future. So what I'm getting here, let's just say, for example, this was somebody who was a family member, an authority in your life, somebody who was older than you and influenced your level of understanding about what life is. But then as you get older, you realize they are responsible for keeping you trapped inside an illusion or an idea of who they think you should be, who they want you to be, the you that is convenient for them. What do we have at the solar plexus, please? Wow. The devil, Moloch. You've broken free, Cancer. You've awakened to the matrix of your life. See, the devil's waving at you right there? Bye, Cancer. I always knew you would make it out. You know, Cancer, I'm starting to get some messages here surrounding the world as a whole. You are amongst a group of individuals that are going through very similar right now. You are a part of a worldwide awakening. You are part of a group of souls that were sent here to break the chains of generational karma, some of these generational curses that have been persisting through these family lineages for far too long. And this situation, this group of events that have been unfolding in your life are all connected. See, the problem here is, Cancer, for these individuals, is that they hate the fact that you're free now, and they still remain. Crabs in a barrel mentality, right? If they can't have it, then why should you? Wow. Nine of Pentacles, Virgo energy, Amdusius, making mistakes. Now, whenever I get this card, it's like somebody who has tried everything to stop you from moving forward. And now that they're being caught, it's almost like, there they are, right? Well, I didn't know that Cancer was the chosen one. I'm also hearing something here around individuals that try to wear your energy. It's like people watching you from afar and copying things you're doing in their life that can all be traced back to you. But this is further confirming this energy that was creating setbacks in your life. It can also speak about individuals that were taking advantage of you, of your time, of your energy, of your kindness, your empathy. Then we have Eight of Cups, EIL, transformation. Okay, so here you are finally withdrawing and moving on from all this. And I feel that the jug that you're turning over there, that only has dust in it, is representing the recognition that you're having that there's no love truly lost here because it wasn't love to begin with. You're starting to understand now what you thought once existed was all an illusion. And this brings closure to this message of nostalgia that we were speaking on, because this Eight of Cups also represents you fully learning from something in the past, right? This compartmentalization of events, emotions, whatever it may be, which leads you directly to this Eight of Cups. And it's right underneath that Three of Cups. You have a level of understanding now. This is where they will always be, just hanging around, gossiping, right? Acting like they're best friends. But make no mistake, if they tried to break away just like you did, it would be business as usual. I just heard these snakes will all stab each other in the back in due time. Nothing would ever stop them from throwing each other under the bus should the opportunity arise. And then right on the bottom of the deck, I have the Tower, Mars, Aries, Scorpio energy. So see how it looks like you're getting a memo there, right? And this is really representing this destruction that is being brought to this foundation or this chapter of your life, so to speak. It just really represents you moving on past false securities, right? It was all a lie, or no one could be trusted, or they were never your friends to begin with. Or if this is family members, you're starting to realize that blood is not thicker than water. What do we have at the throat, please? Seven of Cups again. So we have that twice now. They read differently, though. I read this one in its negative polarity and this one in its positive polarity. So this is you now, again. It's like you're looking back, right? You've got this sand clock in your hand. Says right there, contemplation. Now, this speaks about the illusion coming to an end, surrounding who you are, who they think you should be, and again, the way you're interfacing with your reality based on all of this is also being highlighted here. You go through this process and life looks different. The illusion isn't as strong as it once was. You're able to see through the lies, see through the BS, right? Colors become more vivid. You become more hypersensitive to your environments, which leads you to changing your environments. I'm getting something here around some of you really need to be in peace right now, where all you can really hear is yourself breathing, right? Earlier today, I took my dog on a walk before your reading. just to kind of clear my head and collect more downloads for you. And it was completely dead silent, just walking through the desert. It's quite nice to walk through the desert this time of year because it's cool, it's not hot. All I could hear was myself breathing and the soles of my shoes sinking into the sand as I was walking, as well as my dog's paws sinking into the sand. So much so that I became hyper-focused on it. The more I focused on it, the louder it became, which got me thinking, when there's so much noise around us, our awareness of it makes it louder. And then I started to think about the importance of creating an environment for yourself where you can have control over that, have control over what is going into your mind. You control the volume of your life is really the simplest way I can put this. And I do feel that there's a more profound message in there that you may extract from what I just said, Cancer. But whatever you do, I feel that you will highly benefit from finding yourself in a space like that. What do we have at the third eye, please? Two of Wands, Aries energy, Jalil, the helping God, love and wisdom, victory over those who would attack you. And this card is great because it looks like you're holding your pulse, right? Which suggests that, am I alive? Did this really happen, right? And see how you kind of look. Hopefully that's focusing. I think the focus on my camera is a little messed up right now. I don't know why it's not doing that. But it looks like you're a little worse for wear, okay? And see how you're looking directly up at these three witches right here, right? Right? How could you be so cruel, right? But your level of understanding about all of this is what, again, is allowing you to have the breakthrough. Victory over those who would attack you. You've moved on. You're not a part of this anymore. They are still exactly where they have always been. And you are now on your way to the rest of your life, which is exactly what the Two of Wands speaks about, because it's all about progressing forward. It's all about the future and you stepping into your personal power as a means to be able to pull this off to begin with. What do we have at the crown to close this out for Cancer, please? Six of Cups. Oh, perfect. Scorpio energy. At the crown to close out the reading. Shalia, God who steers all men. Motivation, lifts up those who were fallen and humiliated. Okay, now, before the reading even began, before I hit record, I saw the Six of Cups in my mind's eye. All right. Now, the Six of Cups is all about nostalgia, which goes all the way back to everything we've been speaking about. It's even the card that represents reunions. All right. So this is really confirming everything that we channeled throughout the course of this reading to be right on target, because it's telling us that this nostalgia, the unearthing of these memories, these events, whatever it may be for you, are happening in this sort of divine order to elevate you to this new beginning, to this new timeline. The compartmentalization, the filing of memories, the organization of these energies are all necessary to bring forth this new beginning for you. Cancer, this is the message that I have available to you, depending on where you are on this timeline. Should you choose to accept, I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you would like a personal reading, you can find all of my contact details in the description below this video. And thank you for your donations, Cancer. Take care.